What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Winston A. Marshall, aka the Swaggy Blurred. Oh man, it's been a wild week, man. Mother's Day and all sorts of stuff, and I clearly haven't finished moving. I don't know if I'm ever gonna get this done, man. But I had to bring you another episode of the quarantine series. I mean, you got to meet one half of my childhood trio, and Jordan Mason. I guess that would be 1/3. Whatever, you know what the fuck I mean. But today you're gonna get to meet the other half, probably the most controversial of all three of us, Mr. Thomas Pierre Perkins III, Esquire. He's been out here doing the law thing for a minute. He's a part-time powerlifter, which I'm sure he'll tell you the story and how he got into that as well. So, but like this has always been, the point of this is for you to get to meet people you may not have met before, but also to give you an insight on a particular field or skill set that you might be interested in. So with no further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Thomas Pierre Perkins III. What's up, Tommy?
What's going on, man? Doing all right?
I'm chilling. I mean, you've been here with me the last 30 minutes trying to work out these technical difficulties, so I'm not thrilled about that shit.
Yeah,
but,
so this is like what you do for a living, and you can't even get the internet to work correctly? That's great.
That's awesome, right? See, so y'all can see the asshole of the group. That's the 1,000%.
You can't have half of three people either.
No, I get it, but they already knew me, so there were two people to meet.
Yeah.
So, but it technically is another third. It's the last third.
Jordan's kind of half a person, so maybe it does work at the end of the day.
You're one to talk. Both of y'all are barely over 5'2", sir.
That's not true. Okay, then he's 4'11" if I'm 5'2".
That was the only thing that I feel that I ever had over the two of y'all is that I actually got height, whereas the two of y'all, like what? You're at what, 5'6"?
Congratulations.
I mean, I get shit off the shelves. That's fine. Like, that's nothing wrong with that, man.
I lost you. You froze.
Hold on.
You're frozen. You're back now.
Okay. It might do that. That happens every now and again because
not fine.
Yeah. But so we met in what, 4th grade? Is that right?
Yep, 4th grade when I moved here.
Where were you from originally?
So I was in Austin. I'm from Baton Rouge originally, but grew up in spent like kindergarten through 3rd grade in Austin, where my dad was working, and then he got a job up here, so we moved here and.
Here being Dallas, right?
Here being Dallas when I was in 4th grade. It's like 98, 95, something. 95, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe 98, I don't know. Something around there.
Well, all I remember is that I want to say you weren't in Jack and Jill right away, but my mom was like, oh, there's another little black kid at St. Mark's, so you should like become friends with him.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I remember at first, like we were chill, and then people were just kind of assholes to us. And so you decided, oh, if I'm an asshole to him, then that's the one less level of assholery that we didn't really.
Self-preservation. If I can against somebody else, then they're going to leave me alone. I was new. I was trying to fit in with the new crowd.
That's fine.
All boys school. I don't know what else you do.
Well, and that's the thing. That's all boys schools, especially what lower and middle school, is just everybody's going through puberty. They have nowhere to direct all of that like testosterone and shit. So it is just a bunch of just like bullshit for a while, you know.
Weird kids, so it's easy to make fun of people who are weird, you know.
I mean, pretty much, man. I mean, that was the thing. We were the two fat black kids that went to the school, so like it was easy to be like, oh, okay, there's like Fat Albert and Little Fat Albert, like whatever the fuck,
something like that.
So I left freshman year, and you stayed through. So what? As far as the rest of St. Mark's, and we talked about it a little bit with Jordan. What was that experience like for you? Because I know that you were part of the paper, and did you do? I can't remember. You didn't do any sports, no?
Nope.
No. Okay. But ultimately, you found, I guess, the ultimate sport in powerlifting. Now, did that start in high school, or was that later in college?
I started. I really got into it the summer between junior and senior year. I went away to a camp, and not a fat camp.
I was immediately going there, bro. I was going to be like
enrichment program, and it was at Washington and Lee University in Virginia, and it was kind of like a mini college. We were in class in the morning, and then kind of had the rest of the day to ourselves. And I just really got into going to the gym every day and eating right and doing that whole thing. So I dropped about 50 pounds between junior and senior year.
That's wild, dude. That's like what, 3-4 months?
Yeah. No, I mean it was probably 3 months, but I mean I was only there for about a month.
But that's where you got the bug, though.
That's where I got the bug, and then I came back and joined the gym when I moved back here, and been really dedicated to it ever since then. Had its ups and downs. It's hard in college when you're drinking and eating like shit and staying up. But that was kind of lost it a little bit then, and then law school with nothing to do. That was when I really, really got into it.
Okay, word. Because I remember you came back and you were just like working out a lot. And you weren't like jacked, but like you were like like fit. And then something happened, something broke in you, and that's actually how you ended up finding your wife. Is that you both ended up, which I think I hear in the background.
Yeah, she's in the
but the fact that like you guys, that was something you bonded over. I know that me and Jordan always used to joke with you that like you found your bro in matrimony and stuff like that,
She did CrossFit. That was how I didn't go to a CrossFit gym. We just met, and I knew she was kind of into it, and that was 2015, I want to say.
That sounds about right.
I think that's when it was. I was working here in Dallas. She was also an attorney here, and we'd met, and I knew that was something that she was really into, and it was a big deal for me. I would have to be at work about 8:30 every morning, so I would be at the gym at 5 every morning. I'd be in bed by like 6:30 every night because I was so tired when I got home from work. So
let
me tell you.
No, it's funny because me and you talked about this for a while because that was the whole thing. Is me attempting to emulate your schedule was not possible because
it wasn't going to work.
So I was getting off at work at 3 a.m. So to be like, oh yeah, just wake up at 6 or 7 and then go to the gym, like that's not.
But you have to find your version of 6 or 7. Like you have to be you went to work at night, so you needed to do it like when you first got up after you came home from work, as opposed to like me. I did it first thing, but it's different for different people. Like Susie can't work. My wife can't work out in the morning. She's got to eat. She's got to like have some time to wake up and all that stuff. Where I'm like, if I let it go past like an hour and a half that I've been up, I don't want to eat because it's my stomach hurts and she feels the opposite way. She's gonna like pass out if she didn't eat something in the morning. So that just it just depends on how you want to
No, I feel you, and I know that you're not like a nutritionist or personal trainer, but just again for people that are kind of interested in this world, like what would you say A was like your biggest motivation that was like keeping you pushed, and B, what was the thing that you felt you changed most immediately that really kind of put you down this path?
As you said it, I was not the sveltest kid in the world. School and wasn't really that athletic. So like the team sports, they never really appealed to me. I mean, I played basketball and football or whatever, but it was kind of one of those things where you can push yourself and you see the change as your body adapts, as your body changes. It kind of motivates you more and more to keep going, and your clothes fit differently. You look different in the mirror. It's all vanity at the end of the day. I mean, I want to be healthy and all that sort of stuff, but like, there's a certain. I went to dinner before the Corona happened with the guys that I've become friends with, and I was the first one there. So I went to like, oh, we have a reservation for whatever. I'm just gonna sit at the bar and wait for people to get here. And I know the what's it called at the front? The hostess was like, "You are a jacked human being." I was like, "The shirt is a little small. I will give you that, but that certainly makes me feel good."
I mean, I feel like I've made that Kevin Hart joke to you all the time of like the T-Mobile dude. It's like, okay, you won. Like, what else are you lifting for at this point? Like, thank you for calling T-Mobile. Hello, dog, broke another one. Like, like how hard are you holding your attaché case when you go into court, bro? Like,
and that's kind of been an issue. I kind of have that reputation now that everyone kind of knows that I'm in the gym every morning in court and going through work shirts because they won't button all the way to the top anymore. So one of the best gifts I got recently, actually right before the Corona, so I've never worn them, was my sister-in-law got me like 5 custom work shirts that like measured to fit my body and whatever, and haven't gotten a chance to wear them because I haven't put on a button-down shirt since mid-February.
Jesus. So they actually sent you home a little bit earlier then, because I know a lot of people it was about
kind of slowing down a little bit, but I didn't really have much stuff going on like the beginning of March into February, and then all the courts closed in the middle of March or beginning of March, and they're not opening back up until June. June 1st, first day where they're going to start anticipating letting people back into the buildings. Obviously, that could change if the situation keeps going the way it is. But even then, stuff's going to keep getting pushed out. I don't think I have anything on my calendar till like June 15th at this point. We're doing
That's
remotely and.
Well, and that's crazy because the more that you speak on that, it becomes interesting. I mean, a lot of people were talking about like Ahmaud Arbery and like how the two white dudes that killed him didn't get arrested for forever.
Right.
And part of it is a lot of times with justice with black people and stuff like that, there's its own level of like what's going on. But that raises a very interesting question. So part of it may have just been from the simple fact that everything is shut down right now.
I mean, well, I was reading something today. So the way a felony case works, it's got to go through a grand jury. They have to determine if there's enough evidence to file charges against them. I don't think that they're anticipating being able to convene a grand jury in Georgia, in that county, until like mid-June.
Okay.
So that means that, because I was talking to another potential client this morning about something like that, and that means they're going to start having grand juries potentially June 15th. That doesn't mean that we're going to hear that grand jury is going to hear that case June 15th.
Right. That just means
they've been shut down as long as we have. They have a huge backlog of cases that they're going to have to get through also. And if there have been people that have been in jail even longer, their cases are going to have to go to grand jury first because they have a right to a speedy trial, and they're going to have to deal with the oldest cases always come first.
Right.
It's going to be interesting because, I think they're being held on no bond right now, and I don't think they're going to be entitled to. They're entitled to a bond that's going to be really high, but it's also going to be one of those weird things where they're going to have to sit there for a while, which I'm not mad about, but they're going to have to sit there and let this process play out, and we'll see if the judge gives them a bond. It's going to be super high if they do. So we'll just have to see.
No, I mean, and the thing that's interesting about it is, do you? We don't have to get full blown into this case, and we'll come back to your law career in a minute. But do you think also that's something that maybe their defense team might use as like a weapon to be like, look, they've been in jail for already X amount of time based off of X, Y, Z?
And it's going to be one of those things where like I said, you have a right to a speedy trial that's kind of being tested right now because you can't get a jury trial. Obviously, this case is going to go to a jury at some point.
Right.
But they're going to want a jury trial probably as quickly as they can get one. And that's going to be a lot of work for the prosecutor's office. That's going to be a lot of work for people to try and put together. And it could be a situation where the outcome may go one way because of how quickly things get thrown together. It could be not saying one way or the other. It just may be the way that they're not expected to, because if they request a speedy trial and they're up, that could be 6 months. But a case like this, that kind of case would probably not go to trial for a couple of years under a normal circumstance.
Wow.
Just with the amount of witnesses, how high profile it's going to be, jury select, and we can get down to this later also. But I've been talking to a lot of my other lawyer colleagues about how do you have a jury trial? Because to pick a jury, you're gonna have to bring, for a misdemeanor, they usually bring about 30 witnesses or 30 jurors. For a felony, it's usually 60 to 70. But they sit in benches in a courtroom right next to each other and answer questions from the lawyers and from judges.
They also have to social distance and whatnot.
How are you? I mean, how do you have a social distance jury with 70 people in a room that's the size of an average bedroom? Or the size of a living room? And you're gonna have to have an issue. You're gonna have to deal with the fact that most of the courts are probably going to require everyone to wear a mask,
right,
or a face covering of some sort. And I'm going to argue that that's highly prejudicial to any one of my clients that's wearing a mask, especially if he's being charged with some sort of robbery offense or some sort of assaultive offense, and he's sitting here in a mask. What average juror isn't going to think he's guilty just because of the way he looks?
I mean, and that's an interesting thing that I think we've talked about in our group chat before, about like having to go to the store as black men with masks on, and it's not necessarily because we're up to anything, but just because that is the rule of the law right now. But people, like you said, are going to think something immediately just because of the stereotypes that we see and whatnot. The same reason that we're told.
Exactly. I have a mask that I keep in my car. It's black with pink flames on it.
Probably to
I'm not wearing a black mask. I need something that's kind of like that's got some pop, some color to it, and makes me look non-threatening as much as I can. Because like it is reality, man.
It's sad to say, but I'm right there with you. Where I have I was using disposable surgical ones, but now that those have run out, someone made one with Marvel Comics on it. Yeah. So it just has it's one of those. The other one, a friend of mine, her mom made it out of old drapes. So one is just a giant peacock.
Yeah. Other people can wear the black mask, where you can't really pull that stuff off.
I really wanted to get one of those running ones. I mean, they say just any covering is helpful, but like same thing. They're black or camo. Yeah. Like that's not going to put good ideas in people's head, So, all right, let's get away from that for a minute. Let's go back to the beginning, man. So I leave St. Mark's. I go to Green Hill. The whole reason the crew ends up back together is because at this point, you have been in Jack and Jill for a few years. You hadn't been going to any meetings. We kind of discussed Jack and Jill before last week, y'all. It's essentially a bougie organization for black kids to meet each other, bougie black kids to meet each other and shit like that. So me and you get in that, and we just, we kind of start chopping it up. And the next thing you know, like we actually re-find a friendship and start hanging out and whatnot, which is kind of funny. Which kind of leads me to, that year we did a lot, including Botillion. So I don't know if you remember this photo.
I do.
That's our other homie, Brandon Benson.
Yep.
So for those that don't know what a Botillion is, it is essentially a coming out like ball or whatever to society. It's a male debutante. Exactly. So they had us brothers in these white tuxedos with the top hats. Has Susie seen this? Is that who you're winking at, or is that Camilla?
I've seen that picture before. Now I'm looking at Camilla.
Oh. So for those that don't know, that's Tommy's 9-month-old who is getting big, man. Like you send me a photo like every week, and I'm just like, bro, I feel like she's about to like cash in her 401k tomorrow. Like it's kind of wild how fast she's growing, man.
Probably. He calls over here and not. I'm listening. Yeah, there was a debutante ball that basically we had to learn some dances and
I don't know if you remember the cat that was in it. Oh, look at the little one! Oh my God, what's up? Hi, Camilla. How are you, dude? She's got like those big, like beautiful eyes, man. It's just kind of crazy about it. Is that like she's gonna be a heartbreaker for sure. Yeah. You're gonna have to get her into both powerlifting and martial arts early. Just have her
defense and carry a gun because it's Texas.
Bro, I just want to do the Reggie scene from Bad Boys 2. That's all I ask. Just let me come over. Who is this? Just like, who is Reggie? But so we're doing Botillion and whatnot, and I don't know if you remember, there was a dude there named Samson Simpson.
I remember.
And after the Botillion, we ended up having to. He had brought some alcohol, and I had thought that Everclear was just a brand of vodka. So, I don't know if you remember me being like, I ain't no bitch. Like, I'll drink this right now. And then ended up
here in the parking lot of that hotel where we were.
Which this is fine because you also had for all of my drunken shared moments, we also had a few of your own, like when we went to the Cowboys Raiders Thanksgiving game during college. And that was when Four Loko was hot. And I had one, and you proceeded to have two. And if I'm not mistaken, blacked out before we started walking into the stadium.
Yeah, I was blacked out in the parking lot.
I don't know if you remember, but you yelled the whole way up to the stadium, "Let's go Raiders!" Like at the top.
Actively rooting for the Raiders.
Even though you're a Saints fan.
Even though I don't like the Raiders. And I can't root for the Cowboys. I don't root for the Cowboys. So I have to actively root against them.
I mean, you could have at least just been chill. You didn't have to scream at the top of your drunken ass lungs.
Part of my deal is I like to ruin people's events.
This is true. This is a factual statement, which also brings. The funny thing is that's actually the same year that the Saints won. The Saints won the Super Bowl actually. Which so I don't know if you remember the day that happened. I remember calling you, I want to say like 3 or 4 times because I thought you were dead. I was pretty sure you had died because the Saints.
Oh, I think when the Saints won the Super Bowl, yeah. I was. I don't remember what I was doing. We were celebrating. I was drinking. We were having, and I think I was on the phone for a little while because I was talking to my dad because I became a Saints fan because of my dad. So I was on the phone with him for a while. We're talking about, one of those things that my grandfather didn't get to experience that moment. So we were talking about that for a little while, and just people that never usually call me decided that was a good time to call me. The same way my phone blows up when the Saints lose in embarrassing fashion in the playoffs. People that I haven't heard from in a decade decided they need to send me a text message.
Just to say something. I've gotten over it at this point because I've told y'all, even though y'all give me shit about it, the Saints are probably my second favorite team in football.
Yeah, you're not allowed to have the second favorite team.
Yes, you are. Why? Why can't you have another second favorite team?
Get your own second favorite team.
Look, man, Drew Brees, as Kristen, my girlfriend, likes to say, is an American hero. He rebuilt New Orleans with his own bare hands. So, it's fine to like the Saints. Like, it's not who doesn't like the second line and everything else.
I only dislike the Saints. There are a lot of people that strongly dislike the Saints for whatever reason.
Well, anybody in your division, I get. Like, Panthers fans are bitter as fuck because their one time they went to the Super Bowl couldn't do shit.
That's because they couldn't win a Super Bowl.
The Falcons. And then the Bucks, I mean, sure, you can give them that, but back in 2000, but that's also because of Warren Sapp and Rubin.
Nobody cares about the Bucks fans. The Bucks.
They do now. They got Brady.
That's not going to work out for them.
You don't think so? Brady and Gronk are going to go in there and mix shit up?
I don't know about you because I don't know what you do on a daily basis because you never respond to anyone's text messages that we send you. But I watched a lot of Bucks games or Pats games last year, and Tom Brady's terrible.
Well, I mean, he's not as good. Well, first of all, let me answer this slander. I don't answer a lot of the texts because y'all send some like 500 a day. That's a lot to keep.
That many a day.
That's so many.
It's probably like 75 a day.
It's more than that. I've woken up at times because y'all motherfuckers are in Dallas and we in LA.
It's happening, and we're having a discussion about it.
All I'm
saying is that hasn't been good during the Last Dance because we've just been talking the entire time and commenting on every comment that gets made on the show.
Well, the other thing that's crazy is that I can't do those chats with y'all because since I don't have cable, but I have like ESPN Plus. If I don't start it right at 6, I'm behind and I can't rewind. Yeah. So I just have to watch it after you guys.
Game up, broke boy.
Well, okay, all right. We're not gonna be out here just spending money on cable to watch the 2 more episodes of Last Dance. Like that's okay.
You got stuff to do, I guess. You're not married. You don't have to watch TV to escape.
Hey, man, look, all I'm saying is I have been watching a lot of trash TV, including, all that Netflix shit. So Love is Blind and Too Hot to Handle and Marrying Millions. Like, I guess that's the whole thing is that I have started to go down that train of whatever your girl wants to watch, you kind of find yourself watching
because you have no choice.
But I also kind of like it now is the only thing, though.
Yeah, you get into it because I watched a lot of 90 Day Fiancé. I didn't turn myself on a 90 Day Fiancé, but I watch it now.
Bro, okay, we got to talk about this. I didn't know you watch 90 Day Fiancé.
I don't broadcast it. Well, I guess I just did, but I don't typically broadcast my obsession with 90 Day Fiancé.
So then all the Muhammad and what's her name? I can't remember. The kind of country looking lady that was with Muhammad in season 2. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, Danielle. Danielle's her name.
Woo!
Yeah, this shit is wild. It's it's what America needs during quarantine. Let me tell you.
I mean, that's why you got Tiger King. That's why you got Too Hot to Handle. Like Netflix has been cashing in on that, man. Yeah. And I feel like trash reality TV with no sports on. I mean, sports was male trashy reality TV. Let's be honest.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Including things like Earl Thomas, doing an Eiffel Tower with
field stuff. Sometimes it's better than the on the field stuff.
Seriously. I mean, seriously, I would love if a camera crew would just follow him around, but they probably wouldn't get into the same shit.
He doesn't need any of that. I don't need to see him running trains. That's not anything I need to sign up for in my
life. Okay, so you go to college, you end up going to Amherst, and what was that experience like, man? I mean, having been down south the entire time, like, what was it like to be in this cold ass weather? I remember you came to visit me once at Oxy, and you were mad that in January, girls were sunbathing, and you're like, "You fucking kidding me?"
This was a terrible place, man. It's really unfortunate. This would have been our 10-year anniversary or 10-year reunion. Yeah. We had already, we rented Ethan, two of my best friends from Amherst. We rented a house, and we had our tickets. We were ready to go. We were really looking forward to, having that experience, but that got canceled. It was just a different experience. I knew I wanted to go to the East Coast. I knew I didn't want to stay down here. I actually wasn't allowed to apply to schools in Texas.
Oh, wow.
My parents were very much like, no, you got to get the hell out of here. You can come back, but you got to go. And I that's what I wanted anyway. So I really only applied to schools in like Massachusetts, Connecticut, a couple schools in Maine. But Amherst was my first choice. My guidance or the college counselor told me that there was no way that I would possibly get in there based off of my grades and my scores and whatever. She was like, that's an absolute reach. There's no way. No way you're going to get in there. So that was fun when I showed her my acceptance letter. It was like, yourself.
That's the funny thing that of the three of us, I would ironically kind of say your personality is more akin to like Jordan's in the sense that like you tell him he can't do something or you make fun of him for something and you take that petty side of your brain and put it into overdrive and then you show people up, which is one of the things that I actually admire about you because there's a lot of people that doesn't necessarily fuel them, but it seems to be something that fuels you. Do you feel like that's something that edge is something you need to succeed in like law and in like powerlifting like that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no way you can, especially for me, because, I'm a defense attorney. So we're usually at a disadvantage from the beginning because most of the times our clients did it. So it's like, how do you find a way to get a not guilty verdict? How do you work out the best plea agreement? How do you get a dismissal on a case that you shouldn't get a dismissal on? It's one of those things where like I've gotten some really good results on cases just because I've been persistent and, other attorneys would have just pled a guy out, but I'm like, no, we're going to set the case for trial, prove it, make him. And, I had a really stupid case like 2 years ago. Client was accused of, in his apartment complex, pulling a pistol out, saying, I'm going to air this bitch out, and then like racking the pistol, not shooting it, but like yelling at these people. He had another attorney who was like, no, we're just going to plead to some deferred probation to get your case dismissed. You'll be done. My guy was like, this didn't happen. I don't own a gun. Why would I pull a gun on somebody in my own apartment complex where I live in my parking space? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So I took the case over from the prior attorney. DAs were like, look, he's got a good offer. Just do the deferred. Like, he'll get it dismissed, whatever. Like, yeah, but he'll be on felony probation for like 4 years, and he's adamant he didn't do this. Set the case for trial. A new DA took a look at it and dismissed it because he didn't believe that he didn't believe the witnesses were telling the truth. There was no evidence to show he had a gun, no video evidence. The witnesses were basically full of shit. So that stuff happens. You just have to, push through it and make sure that you don't take the offer that they're trying to give you unless the client really wants to do it. But sometimes you got to roll the dice.
Yeah. Well, okay. So before we jump right into your law career, I wanna show you two videos real quick, kind of from high school and college, just to kind of give you like a little throwback and discuss, but I want to continue on this element about law school. So this one is one that we showed both of these last week to Jordan. This is what I don't know. To tell me if you remember this. That was a classic. I don't know if you remember that though.
Oh, of course I do.
That was because if I remember correctly, because that was your BMW.
Mm-hmm.
That was the night I want to say that we went out to that party in like what's right on the way to fucking the airport, not Corpus Christi, but the whatever Las Colinas, I guess, wherever that fucking party was. The party in particular where you ended up getting kind of fucked up. And then Hassan had to drive us back.
Yeah, in South Lake.
Yeah, South Lake. There it is, South Lake. Okay. I haven't been in Dallas so long, I'm starting to forget areas. So that night in particular, which is very funny, that's also where this photo came from. But it was just very funny from the
South Lake party. That was
that was the one that we went to the Green Hill SPC,
right? That was a Green Hill SPC.
right.
I can't remember whose house that was at or where we were.
I don't remember the house, but I remember the whole reason we found out about it is because me and you were at a Jack and Jill thing. And then Morgan Christopher was like, if you want to follow me to this party. So we went the first night. Yeah. And then you cussed me out because I
that was the night where I wanted to kill you.
And then the second night was then we went back and that was the big party and all of that kind of stuff. So oh man, I forgot about that. Yeah, you wanted to murder
South Lake was when Hassan had to drive us home. That was a different night.
That was winter SPC, and that was a Haka Day girl that threw that party. Because I remember we got there and we were like, you sure you don't want someone else to drive? You're like, no, I got this, bitch. I drive. And then you were like, but Tommy, you drive. I was like, it's fine. All right, it'll be fine. I wasn't
expecting to drink. Like, really, I wasn't even in the mood to drink.
And then 15 minutes of getting there, you came back plastered.
Because I don't even know what happened. Because like we got there and I don't even know who I was talking to, but they were like, you want some drink? I was like, yeah, whatever. And I went behind the bar and they had liquor everywhere. And then it's all a blur from there.
All I know is within that 15 minutes, I was like, you good? And I tried to give you a high five and you missed me in the jukebox. Like that night was epic, bro.
Yep. That was well, I mean, not really, because the son drove my car 30 miles an hour on the highway.
In first gear the whole
the second. He got it out at first. But
I just remember he stalled out like 5-6 times before we even left the place.
Yeah, well, it's hard to drive stick shift if you don't know what you're doing.
Well, and the funny thing is after the 5th time, you were like, you killed it. You killed it, and it's never coming back to life again.
Those were fun nights.
Those were epic, man. And God, there was a lot of stuff. I mean, including like moments where there were a lot of drunken moments at IHOP. I remember that. There was times we broke into my dad's place way too many times. Which was its own thing. It was just absolute mess, man. But then, so we came back and like we still were drinking and playing beer pong at people's houses. But I already showed you this before the show, so I'm gonna show. Y'all saw this last week, but I'm gonna show you.
Nigga, what's going on, man?
Man, what's good with you, man?
Oh, man, how you doing?
Man, chilling, man. What's good, man? How's work?
Nothing, man. Work was all right. Tired though. So was you.
Man, but you gotta play my friend, man. You gotta meet him. This my
Man,
boy,
I don't know.
man. Look, man.
I don't want to spank him though. You know what I'm
Man,
saying?
we go back. Talk about before Biggie was dating fine girls. Biggie was dating
whatever.
fat girls back when me and him met, man. It's my boy J Dog right here, man. Don't say nothing to him though, cause he's nice and mad. You don't want him to whoop you, man.
He's a puppet.
No,
he's a puppet.
No, man.
He's made of cloth. He's like a puppet.
Not, bro. He's just real laid back.
No,
he's just
like his arm is a stick.
Hey Jay,
And
man.
no,
Man.
you can't. I'm sure you won't answer because he's an inanimate object. He's not a real thing. He's not a person.
No, man, Jay
He's a puppet.
he don't talk much, man.
No,
Are
you
man.
looking at him?
Play him or not?
He has no spine.
He has a spine.
He has no
bro.
bones. He's been stitched together. He's a puppet. He's a clown.
Man, come on,
My little sister has one of these in her room.
Jay,
She plays with it every night.
My boy Tommy, man. Just chill out.
Oh yeah, about to play with my boys, the Patriots.
Man, you would play with the Patriots.
Shut up. You playing with the Saints?
Yeah, I'm from New Orleans, fool.
Yeah, Reggie Bush and his sorry ass. We going to New England, baby. We going to New England. Even got a pick kick. I'm gonna go ahead and receive right now and beat you in the first half.
Man, watch out, man. I mean, I know he looks laid back, but he's good, man. Watch out.
He's not good. He's not good. He's not good.
I
Look at
warn
him. Look at his earrings. He's not good. Nobody wears those kind of earrings. He's not a good person. Game's over already. Let's go.
All right, man. Let's do this.
you. Really?
And that is the game. What do you have to say? Whatever, man.
Well, game's not over.
4 fumbles in a row on the goal line in Madden Nation land.
Care about Madden Nation? Nobody cares about Madden Nation. Kid is a banana. He plays in Madden Nation. That's his claim to fame. Go to school. Do something positive with your life. This is stupid. I'm leaving.
Oh man,
dumb game.
So we didn't show the footage. I always told people that I would put the link in the description of the full video if you want to see it. But I just remember that game started. You actually did really well.
I was playing well the first quarter.
And then because of
97 overall, and you're playing on all Madden, and then I think Breeze got hurt or some shit. Like
Drew Brees got hurt. Exactly. I don't even remember who your backup was at the time.
I don't remember. What year was that? I'm trying to remember because is that college or was that?
That was pre your Super Bowl. That was post Randy Moss them losing the Super Bowl to the Giants. So it was that Madden that would have come out right after
the summer. Is that the summer before law school?
That would have been the summer after sophomore year of college.
Okay. Yes, that's right. That's right. Sophomore year of college.
So I just remember, because that was the thing, is that for anybody that's not paying attention, we just put the computer on because I had to like mime this puppet, not well, mind you. And so Tommy just played the computer on the hardest fucking setting, and again did well for a quarter, and then got obliterated.
Yeah, it was super annoying.
I always joked, man, I don't know why you never considered even just like on a little tip, like acting whatsoever, bro. Like maybe not like professionally, because I know that wasn't something you were interested in, but you were fucking funny. Like all of that was
I'm hilarious.
Okay, all right, calm down. But like, I mean, you were like kids and puppet. I was like, bro, you don't. Like, I even told you, I was like, talk shit to him.
Yeah, well, you told me to talk shit to him. That's pretty much the only thing I was really good at that point in my life.
Like, you're just going to straight up call him a puppet? Like, you can't come up with anything else. Like,
what do you want me to do?
It's fine. I feel like after that, I don't think I put you in any more films, though. You probably could.
I would use the word puppet to mean like a loser person that I didn't like. The same way I use the phrase banana to describe something.
Yes, those spot. Some of those lines.
Like I normally do.
Dude, some of those lines, what? He has no spine.
Well, he didn't. He was a puppet. He was stitched together. And he had a stick coming out of his arm.
Oh, my God, man. That was the whole thing, is I feel like we really overall, and I almost forgot, there was one other acting thing we actually did do together. So senior year at Jack and Jill for Team Conference, remember we wrote our sketch that fucking won, except they disqualified us because we ran over by 2 seconds because they couldn't get the fucking letter open.
Yep.
I'll never forget how mad I was about that shit, bro, because like we clearly won.
Imagine where you'd be now if you had won the Jack.
If I had won the Jack and Jill sketch competition, I would be running wilding out by now. What's the most niggerish like thing you could think of as far as acting goes? It's probably that.
Yeah, I would agree. You wrote parts for slaves. I mean,
they were
in that movie, in that script.
Were there slaves in that?
I'm pretty sure there were.
Oh yeah, no, but it was yeah, okay. You remember why though? Because I
don't remember.
Well, it's because I was a big Chappelle Show fan, so that whole shit where he was like, "Son, white people in general be fucking up. Shh, they coming." That's where that came from. So, anyways, all right. So you graduate Amherst. Did you always know you wanted to go to law school?
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. Didn't know what else. Never really known what to do in life aside from that. My dad's a lawyer. My grandfather on my mom's side was a lawyer. Kind of always had an interest in it. Didn't know if I wanted to necessarily practice law, but I knew I didn't know what the fuck to do with my life after graduating from college. So I was like, at least let me delay life for another 3 years.
Right.
So I didn't really take it. I didn't take it very seriously. I think I got into maybe 2 or 3 schools. Okay. Ended up going to Marquette in Milwaukee because they gave me the most money. Didn't really care where I went to law school. Except I was going to go, I got into Loyola in New Orleans, which is actually where my wife went to law school. But was pretty much in the same way told that I couldn't apply to schools in Texas. I was basically told you can't go to Loyola because you're not going to graduate. You're going to hang out with your cousins. You're going to drink all day. You know.
Well, I remember we came to visit you. We came to visit you summer after year 2,
or after my second year. Yeah.
And I mean that was the thing. I mean, we were a shit show down there. I mean, it was hot as all hell.
Working, but my boss didn't really have that much stuff for me to do, so we just could drink all day.
I mean, that's pretty much what happened. Which that whole trip was interesting for me because I don't know if you remember, my sister came down there with her
I remember
now husband, but boyfriend at the time, Larry. So that was its own level of like, and I want to say we even got in a conversation about sex and whatnot, and we all noticed that Larry said nothing because he knew I was sitting right there, which I appreciate. But yeah, no, that trip was really interesting to me, man, because that actually was around the time, if that was your second year, so that would have put it 2012, summer 2012.
Yeah.
That was actually right around when I first got diagnosed with clinical depression, man. So I was like going through it that whole trip.
You both, you and Jordan were both fucking depressed that whole trip.
Yeah, which is, I mean, but then we just drank a lot of alcohol and it, didn't think about something for a week. But it was overall like a good trip. And so you go from Marquette, you graduate, you move back to Dallas and take the test.
Yeah, so I was trying to decide what I was going to do because I didn't have a job coming out of law school. A lot of people now I don't know what law students are doing, but most people that knew they were going to go work for a firm or whatever, like had that lined up, and then they would go study for the bar, and then when they found out about the bar, they would go to work. I didn't have any job lined up because I didn't really apply for jobs because I knew I wasn't going to stay in Wisconsin. So I was like not applying for jobs up there. And it was either go to New Orleans, find a place to live, work, and study for the bar there, or come back to Texas, live at home, study for the bar, live for free, eat for free, all that sort of stuff. So ended up doing that. Came back here, spent that entire summer studying for the bar, passed the bar in November of 2013, and then started working at the DA's office in beginning of 2014.
I was going to say, didn't you work for a few months at a firm outside of Dallas?
Yes, I worked there for like a month, and it was a terrible.
Well, and so that was kind of the thing I wanted to talk about was as far as that goes, law school, for those that aren't familiar, I mean, you can bend that into a bunch of different ways. You can obviously go into the prosecution defense route. There's people that do contract law, entertainment law, et cetera, et cetera. So you were down there doing defense, personal injury. Okay. And what in particular did you dislike about it?
I don't like that type of work. I knew I wanted to be a criminal lawyer. I worked for a judge after my first year doing criminal stuff. My second year when I was in New Orleans, that summer I worked for a criminal attorney. It was just, that's what I knew I wanted to do. And I took the job because it was a job. And I was actually interning at the DA's office at that point. Left, and then about a month after I started working there, I got an offer from the DA's office to go work there.
Back in Dallas, right?
Beginning of 2014.
Right. So then I remember because one of those years where you were still at the DA's office, you had to go to a swearing-in ceremony, and so you weren't drinking, and you tried to kill me by feeding me too much alcohol at one of your friends' New Year's Eve parties. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, because there was a new DA coming in, so we had to go to work on January 1st.
So I had to drink for the both of us, and you just tried to kill me. I think I threw up on your friend's lawn.
I made you one drink, so I don't know what your problem was.
But that was the problem, is you took my Gatorade that already had vodka in it and proceeded to add, you told me, you were like, I just poured until my arm got tired. That's a problem. I could have died.
You were about it.
I mean, I handled it until I threw up.
Obviously not. You threw up in her front yard, and she texted me the next day asking who threw up in my yard. You know who threw up in my yard.
I mean, that's embarrassing. I feel like I probably can't ever go back to her house at this point.
No one even knows. I think they had turf in their front yard instead of grass. So I think it was pretty easy to clean it up. Just move it down. But she did notice that someone threw up in her front yard.
Well, okay. So the biggest thing I would ask you then about law school in particular, for someone that's interested in getting into law, what would you say, if you haven't already gotten there, where would be the first place to look? Before you even start with your LSATs, is there a particular skill set? Is there something you should study in college? Or if you're not in college presently, if maybe you're thinking about going to law school after the fact, what stuff?
Reading, writing.
Just reading and writing, a lot of that. Okay. Any particular type of reading and writing?
Matter. Any kind of because that's all we do. I mean, at the end of the day, all we're doing is we're reading a statute and we're interpreting it and we're applying it to a set of facts. Okay. So it's a bunch of reading comprehension. It's a bunch of I mean, There's a section on the LSAT that's called logic games. They're super fucking stupid. They were the reason I didn't do well on the LSAT because they're kind of like riddles, but they're like puzzles, but with math, and they're just like they're really complicated. But at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're like building typically like a matrix of things, of like finding out what the pattern is, and then you're applying it to like a certain set of questions. Like once you figure out the pattern, now let's put this number into the pattern and see what comes out. So like that's basically what we're doing. It's instead of using numbers and puzzles, it's with like a legal statute or a legal case and like determining how it applies to our particular set of facts.
Okay.
So a lot of reading and writing is what I would say. I mean, if you want to do specific types of law, then another background in something else might or can't hurt. If you want, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so like if your personal injury, if you had like a kinesiology or like
certainly
degree,
what you're gonna have to do in those cases is you're gonna have to get a medical in a personal injury case where there's, let's say, an 18-wheeler accident. You're gonna have to get a medical expert to take a look at the X-rays or the MRIs and explain to you what's going on. Obviously, they're gonna know a lot better than you. But if you have a background in kinesiology, even if it's very, very like rudimentary, you're going to be able to look at that MRI and see like this is nothing or this might be something. Like, or I don't know, if you're doing something there's environmental law. So like if you have some sort of background in like biology or like something, anything involving environmental science, it's certainly going to help you just because you'll have a better you're always going to find the cases, you're always going to find the statutes, but like if I know certain things about like oil and gas based off of just like my experience working in an oil and gas company and how or even like geology and how like fracking works and all that shit, then when I read an oil and gas case and they're throwing these words out here, I'd understand them in a way that I don't because I don't get it. I don't know what any of that stuff means. You're still going to be an expert to like explain it to a jury or like make your determination, but at least you'll have an idea of what's going on.
Okay, so it is one of those fields that even if you didn't necessarily major in anything in particular that is like pre-law,
right?
You can still flip it.
You can get a business degree if you want to go into contract work or stuff like that. I mean, most people end up as English majors, political science majors. But it really just depends on like what you're interested in. There's no like requirement that you have a certain background in order to go to law school.
Okay.
Like a certain major, anything like that. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say one of the things that you told me that I remember when you were in school is that they're not teaching you how to be lawyers. They're teaching you how to like read and interpret the law. That's it.
Which is why it takes forever to actually get proficient in this stuff because you can start a legal job the first day of law school when you pass the bar. You don't know how to like draft anything. You don't know how to do any of this shit. You don't know like the practical way of being a lawyer. And I think for me, like I always like criminal law because I like the cases. I like helping people. I like the violent, gory shit. But also like I'm just a talker and like I can just make shit up. And I'm like most comfortable in a situation where I'm just like, even if I'm just ad-libbing, like that doesn't bother me. And
I do have a question. Have you ever called a witness a puppet before?
No, haven't done. I'm usually to people.
You might try it. I mean, you never know. It might work, bro. Like, I don't know exactly when badgering the witness comes in. Like, I've heard these terms on shows before, but you know, like you might just try and see what happens. Maybe
if we ever have jury trials again, maybe I'll try that. If they're being a puppet, I'll fucking tell them.
You're clearly a puppet for the prosecution, sir. Like, just hit them with some shit like that, bro. Okay, word. So we've only got about 10 minutes left. What I want to do is something I do with every interview. It's something I call top five, top five, top five. So I'm going to ask you your top five of three different categories. You're going to give me your top five in that. So to start off, being a lawyer, let's go with your top five favorite like TV shows or movies that pertain to law.
A Time to Kill is what made me want to be a lawyer.
Okay.
SVU.
Oh, SVU's the shit, bro.
It's very unrealistic and stupid, but
really,
Oh, well, because I mean, I think the thing that people learn, like I was talking about earlier with that Georgia case, it seems like they arrest somebody on Tuesday, they arraign them on Wednesday, they go to trial the next Monday. Like that, we're talking about a year and a half between for that to actually happen.
Yeah.
And there's never a surprise moment. There's never like some surprise witness that comes out. Like if something like that happens, like something's gone really wrong.
Okay, word.
Let's see.
You gotta build some suspense and drama, so I get that. All right.
But like that's not the
that works. All right.
You Time to Kill. Oh man, I'm trying to think.
It sounded like when How to Get Away with Murder first came out, you thought it wasn't bad, but then it kind of went off the rails, right?
I never watched How to Get Away with Murder.
I thought you watched like the first couple episodes.
Never got into it. Never really got into it. I guess it counts. Better Call Saul. I think it's actually kind of based a little bit more in reality when it comes to how this stuff is done.
Okay.
At least in how the trials go and all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
Trying to think of movies. Shit.
I mean,
it's hard to like watch them because I don't like a lot of legal.
That's fair. I mean, I'll be real with you. One of my favorite ones, and you can say whatever you want to me. I don't give a fuck. I thought Legally Blonde was fucking hilarious.
Okay, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do Legally Blonde, and we're gonna do My Cousin Vinny.
My Cousin Vinny. Okay, that's a good one. Because Legally Blonde, like, if someone told me that was in law school, that actually everything she kind of goes throughout law school of like
Legally Blonde is a. Let me put it this way. One of my favorite classes in law school was called Law and Pop Culture. And one of the things we did was we watched a different movie every week. We discussed it, how it's real, how it's not, all that sort of stuff. Like, I don't know if you remember the specific scenes in Legally Blonde, but
I just watched it with
when she pulls out her little notepad and gets called on, doesn't know what the fuck's going on. That is very real.
About like having read 70 pages before class even started and whatnot.
I mean, it was one of those things where if you're not prepared, you might as well not show up for class.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's another movie I'm trying to think of that you might want to. The Paper Chase. The Paper Chase is about. You've seen it, obviously. It's about the kid's first year at Harvard. Really good movie. Yeah. So I'd put that in there too.
Okay. Bet. All right. So we got the 5 TV shows and movies. All right. Again, obsessed with working out. So we're gonna go your top 5 favorite exercises.
Ooh.
You seem more conflicted about this than the movies.
Deadlifting is by far my favorite exercise.
Okay.
Pull-ups. Ooh. I'm trying to think of what I was doing this morning because we have a gym in the garage. We put a gym together.
I saw that, and there are a number of people in Florida that.
I lost you.
I came back. All right, there we go. I don't know if you saw the people protesting in Florida doing a bunch of push-ups and sit-ups, pissed off they can't get in the gym. So,
okay, so deadlifts, pull-ups, dips.
Okay, like chair dips,
or like with the dip bar.
Okay, yeah.
Or on a bench or whatever. Any kind of dips. I used to like squatting a lot. I stopped squatting, so I can't squat heavy at all. But it's still one of my favorites because it kind of gets you going. And bicep curls, because curls for the girls.
I forgot, what is the name of that dude on YouTube that y'all were always watching? And he always had them rhymes. He had curls for the girls.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, I can't remember. I know exactly what you're talking about. Black dude. He's from Dallas. I can't remember his name anymore.
Yeah, M's for the mams.
Yeah.
Like
girls for the girls.
Yeah. All right. And then last but not least, we're gonna go with this one. May be easy or maybe hard for you. I think this might be the hardest one. Your top 5 favorite Saints of all time.
Deuce McAllister.
Really, it's not even.
Deuce is my favorite Saints player of all time. Malcolm Jenkins is one of my favorite players.
I know Drew drives you crazy, but Drew's not up there.
Yeah, maybe he's number 5.
All right, we'll wait.
I know I'm not supposed to say this because it's controversial and you build me as being controversial. Darren Sharper.
That's a little controversial, but I mean, just talking about his football career. I mean, there's that.
Well, I'm not talking about just that, but
Jesus.
I'll put Sharper in there. I'll put Cam Jordan, and
So
hold on.
Drew 5 or nah?
Joe Horn. I got to put Joe Horn over.
That cell phone is one of the best celebrations of all time.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know why I didn't think of that. So it's Deuce, Joe Horn, Darren Sharper,
Malcolm Jenkins and Cam Jordan.
I'm gonna say Cameron Jordan and Will Smith. I'm gonna not put him on there. Rest in peace, Will Smith.
Okay, all right.
But I could do a lot. I could put together an entire lineup of.
I know you could. I mean, you could put together all of the best Saints, and you guys would probably.
Monte Stallworth killed a guy, so he's got to be on my list somewhere. Will Smith got murdered. Trying to think of who else. Who else has had some run-ins with the law? That's usually my favorite type of NFL player.
It's the ones that end up with the law. Is it because
not like you get a DUI? I'm talking about like you murdered somebody.
You're talking about like Aaron Hernandez and OJ.
Yeah, I'm a big Aaron Hernandez fan.
You listened to the podcast they did about him, right?
The podcast. I've read 3 or 4 books about him.
There was a Netflix show. I haven't seen that one yet.
Show pretty good. His lawyer wrote a book that was really good about everything that's going on. I think that we should free him from his prison of death.
I mean, I was gonna say free him from death. I don't know how you do that, but you get back to me on that one, man.
Ray Caruth is a good one. He's up there. He's not a Saints player, but I'm always like down for people that try to murder the mother of their unborn child.
Who else? I'm completely off the rails. All right, man. Well, we've kind of gotten to the tail end of this now. So I know you tend to be more of a private person, but is there anything you want to plug or any way that people could reach you if they had any questions or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, anybody can always reach out to me. Look, one of the things that I loved the most about being a DA was we worked in little workrooms with 2 attorneys. Mm-hmm. One of the most rewarding things for me was to teach the younger attorneys in my workroom what to do, how to be a lawyer, what to do, what not to do. That's always rewarding for me, is being able to help any young lawyer that wants to be good, and especially if they happen to be of color. That makes it even better because we're kind of there's a group of us that try and look out for other young Black lawyers because there aren't a lot of Black lawyers at these big law firms. I'm the only Black attorney at my firm. There's usually not people to look out for you the same way that these white attorneys will look out for some of their younger lawyers. Not that I don't think it's on purpose, but I think also is one of those things where in the same way where we understand that, if I'm going to go out wearing a mask, it's probably going to be bright colored. We just have different things to deal with in front of judges in the legal community than some other people do. I think some people always are we're kind of in some courts we're looked at from on a lower perspective. There's Denton County is about 45 minutes from here. I take some cases up there, and when I go there, I make sure I'm always dressed really nicely. I always dress nice, but make sure I have a suit and tie and all that stuff. Where some of the other counties I may not wear a tie, or just depending on the situation. But
so that's that kind of mentorship, and experience.
Multiple times. So, it's one of those things where if you're an attorney, you kind of know what to do. You know that here's where the prosecutors are. You'll get in line. There's 10 other people in line. You just wait your turn. Denton County, I've had multiple times where the bailiff will come up and ask me who I am and what I'm doing. And I'm like, I'm a fucking attorney. I'm in line to talk to the prosecutors. Why aren't you asking these other people in line what's going on? And there was an older white guy that was behind me. And after I talked to the bailiff and explained who I was and I knew what I was doing, he was like, oh, I just didn't know who you were. I've never seen you, blah, blah. This older white guy was like, that was pretty fucked up. And I'm like, yeah. It's what I have to deal with. It's especially in these, it's a smaller county, it's Republican, it's white, rural. So they don't get a lot of Black attorneys out there. So you know that I know what I'm doing. I know exactly where I'm supposed to be. but you do your thing, man. If that makes you feel good, if that's how you get your rocks off in 2020 by fucking with a young black attorney, then whatever. I could give a shit.
Right. No, I feel you, man.
And what I always tell these younger attorneys is they want to get a rise out of you. There's probably 70 people in this courtroom. 50 of them are defendants. There's probably another 10 attorneys. There's a bailiff. There's a judge. There's prosecutors. They want you to cause a scene. They want you to be like, well, what the fuck? What do you mean? What am I doing? So no, be polite and respectful and be like, yeah, I'm just waiting in line. Thank you.
Yeah, because they're essentially
they want to have a reason to jack you up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's really sound advice. So then, how would you say that people can find you? What would be the easiest way to contact you?
I'm on LinkedIn.
Okay. And just search Thomas Perkins.
McCatherine Law Firm is my firm. I don't have a picture, but I can put one up there. But that's where I am. I'm on Facebook, but I don't really use it for that much. And it's not. And I don't have my wife. Neither my wife or I have my wife's also an attorney that takes some criminal cases, and it's a judge. So neither of us have our actual names on our Facebook. We have some version of our names, just so like people can't search because we put our pictures of our kid up there and that sort of shit. So we try and make sure that that's private as much as possible. But LinkedIn, I'm on there, and that's probably the best way to find me.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, thank you again for doing this. I mean, especially like you said that. It's big for anybody that is interested in law or lifting, but especially like you said, anything that we can do to help out, especially young potential black attorneys and stuff like that. I mean, I do think that there is, like you said, there's not necessarily a whole lot of them. I mean, the numbers are going up, but it's not, especially in a place like Texas and the area you're in, it's not necessarily as widespread. So I do appreciate you taking the time out to do that.
Pleasure.
Yeah. And to everybody else, I just want to say thank you so much for watching another episode of the Quarantine Series. Shout out to my patrons. Like, I honestly couldn't do this without y'all, which is why I always like to give y'all this quality content and whatnot. I mean, you got a chance now to see why I'm as crazy as I am, since you met the two people that were pretty formative in my shit talkery. So, there's that for sure. But be sure to come back here next week. We got another great guests coming up, y'all. It's going to be a lot of fun. Other than that, as always, stay safe, stay busy, stay happy, y'all. It's good to see y'all. We'll talk to you a little bit later.
All right, everyone stay safe out there.